Well, I came here intending to have a lot to say, but frankly, I am drained from the past few days of this game. And it doesn't help that I just haven't really slept much over the last 2 days, but it's been an awkward few days in the Big Brother house, and the last 24 hours in general have just been super fucking cringy. With Tiffany having to put up her duo Claire with her own HOH, it's definitely made for a lot of tension in the house, and frankly, a lot of bad gameplay in the house as well. I truly feel like this week has hurt everybody except somehow Big D. I think arguments can be made that Hannah has played a great game, like I talked about yesterday. But even her being connected to Tiffany kind of gets her in these messes that doesn't help her. And then Kyland has actually been able to pivot quite well, unlike some of these players. I mean, let's first talk about the Kyland and Tiffany cuddle fest, the grinding fest, the possible more than that that was going on between Kyland and Tiffany in the HOH bed. Some some of you commented in the comments in my yesterday's video. I recorded this before all the cuddling and shit, so yesterday. But yeah, so is this the real reason that Tiffany was so gung-ho about getting rid of Sarah Beth? Seems to be the case. I mean, I saw people talking about that on Twitter. You know, one poster in particular, I shit a lot on Twitter, but there's one Twitter I love, and that's Addicted to Mass on Twitter. She is always on point with her takes. 2 seasons in a row, I see eye to eye with her on a lot of things. And she just drags people. So, you know, I love her. She's great. But she was the one saying a lot that the whole reason Tiffany was so gung ho about getting Sarah Beth out is because of Tiffany actually was, you know, crushing on Kyland. And now with Sarah Beth gone, Tiffany's in bed grinding all up on Kyland while they're cuddling. There seems to be some truth to that speculation. Then we had Ozza and Tiffany had a good talk. And Ozza was actually trying to help Tiffany and trying to tell Tiffany that they need to tell Claire the truth about the cookout. But certain players in the cookout, specifically Xavier, were not going along with that idea. And Xavier made some good points of his own, but when Xavier found this out, and I brought this up when Christian was going, how bad fucking Xavier is at adapting when things start to not go his way. He only gets his way by like fucking whining and veiled threats, and yeah, it's crazy. You know, I pat myself on the back when I'm right, and I've been right a whole damn lot. But the one thing I was wrong at is that I had Kyland and Xavier flipped, because I thought Kyland was going to get on, like, do well in this game because of his social game, but I thought his, you know, strategic mind maybe wasn't up to par. And then I thought Xavier was really going to bring strategy, and that maybe his social game was not really up to par. But it's the complete opposite. Xavier has done well in this game because he set himself up well with his social game. But he has a very big weakness, in my opinion, and that is his pivot. He can't pivot. He doesn't know how to pivot well. And I think he's finally starting to show himself as being a target. So that's because of his lack of pivots. And then we have Kyland, who, like, every fucking time I count this man out, every time I start to count Kyland out, he is able to pivot so fucking well, manipulate so fucking well. He can maneuver in this game better than most. If Hannah wasn't in this game, I would think Kyland is the best at maneuvering, despite his terrible social game. But Hannah hasn't beat, because Hannah has maneuvered herself to the where just nobody is targeting her. I think with Xavier's target growing, people would target Xavier before they target Hannah, at least in the next couple of rounds. As the game goes along, Hannah's going to become a target, but we'll see. But anyway, back to Tiffany and Ozza having that conversation. But of course, Xavier doesn't want to go along with this. Xavier's whining, even though at least 4 people in the cookout want to go along with it. And the cookout just continued to let Xavier get his way, despite him just being a whiner. That's on them. If they keep letting Xavier get his way in this game, just hand him the fucking win already, because that's the road we're going down. And it's not even right now, it's not by good gameplay. Xavier has not played well these last few days. Xavier's been emotional as fuck. And he's always emotional as fuck when shit starts to not go his way. He can't pivot, he gets emotional, he whines. And yet they let him get his way. They got to stop doing that. So Tiffany did not get to tell Claire the whole truth of what's been going on. Tiffany hurting her own social game a little in the process, but still she had a conversation with Claire that she has to put Claire up. It was emotional. It was awkward. It was cringe. Claire did a lot of crying. Tiffany did crying. And yeah, Tiffany's going to have to put Claire up. But Xavier was right when talking to Ozza later in the day about Ozza's idea and saying that they don't really owe saving Tiffany's ass. Tiffany wanted to win this HOH rather than Kyland. And while I said I'm glad she did, for her own game, it has currently fucked her. And she has another mess to clean up that she helped create herself, like I talked about in yesterday's video. So Xavier had a point, but then Xavier goes and tells Ozza that basically he don't know what Ozza's bringing to the cookout. Now let's make one thing clear, like I've said a lot of times. Without Ozza and Derek F, the cookout would never have gotten this far undetected. So Xavier needs to get off his fucking emotional ass high horse and just shut the fuck up, period. And I think him playing so emotionally the last few days definitely hurting the great position he was in. He's still in a good position because so many others are playing poorly as well. But Tiffany and Xavier playing this week so badly has let Kyland maneuver his way back in. Kyland maneuvers like a fucking snake and always gets into where he needs to get into. He will have a shitty fucking week, and yet he can still maneuver well. And I gotta give him props, even though his social game is shit. But they're helping. The cookout's helping him too, because they're like, let's not tell Claire and Alyssa about the cookout. But then Kyland goes and does it in his goodbye messages. So really, Kyland stays getting one up on some of these players. And then Hannah, I still think, is positioned well, like I've been saying the last 2 videos, only because she's in good with a lot of people. Nobody wants to target her immediately. So she has maneuvered herself to have several different positions to get herself to the end. She just needs to get herself to the end against the right person. There was a lot of comments yesterday, so I want to read some. We have Woman of Virtue was saying, Tiffany and Hannah are her final 2. And I was basically saying that, Hannah's going to have to do some of the thinking these next couple of rounds. To get those 2 to the final 2, it's going to have to be Hannah's doing, because right now Tiffany is in quite the fucking conundrum. But I will say that if Tiffany gets to the end, she beats almost everybody except probably Xavier. But I also think Tiffany is that one player that can give Xavier a run for his money in the final 2. Because Tiffany would have, despite Tiffany being stupid and not trusting Ozza constantly, she would have Ozza's vote to win. She would have Hannah's vote to win. I think she would still have Claire's vote to win despite what's going on this week. And then she would just have to fight for Derek X's vote and one other person. She could upset Xavier in a final 2 with those 2. But like I've been saying since fucking night 10, again, I'll just reiterate, Tiffany makes this game harder for herself by doing too much and hindering herself from likely getting to the end. It's not impossible, but she needs a lot of help these next coming days. Kamisha Mills said, okay, I love the cookout, but why can't she nominate Kylan and save Claire? In my opinion, they don't need him and they still have the numbers. I don't think it's smart for her to get rid of a number for her on her HOH. I agree. She should not be getting rid of a number for her own personal game. But also, she wanted to win this HOH, and now she's handcuffed to the cookout and has to take out Claire, or else she's going to probably be one of the next people targeted. And like I've been saying, she also does not have Hannah's support in doing this. They got 12 more hours. Maybe something will change, but I still think it's, like I said in the comments, cleaner for Tiffany to just get rid of Claire. Then she's maybe not the immediate target, even though she's Derek F's immediate target. But is Derek F going to win the next HOH at the double? Likely not, but maybe. But I doubt it. I don't know how to pronounce the name. Kaishadi, Kisha, said, I don't usually watch the videos where someone just talks and doesn't show clips, but I'm glad I saw this. Definitely on point about Tiff. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Black Hearts Club said, hoping she flips it like she talked about keeping Christian and DX and never followed through, couldn't get the votes. If she is playing her best game, she's got to get Kyland and X out immediately or she won't make it to the end. Yeah, well, everybody got to get X out sooner rather than later. Tiffany's definitely one of them. Tiffany's feeling and Kyland are feeling like they need each other, maybe just to grind on each other. But they think they need each other in the game, and they do because they both play these messy ass games. But Kylan's better at pivoting right now than Tiffany is. Ray Rush says, I'm watching the live feeds and feel lost. Did I miss something? Kylan and Tiffany are laid up in the HOH bed holding each other like they're a couple. It's weird. Ray Rush, thank you for always commenting. And yeah, Tiffany has a crush on Kylan, I guess. Woman of Virtue commented again and said, so I guess no one saw Kai and Tiff's sexual experience on the live beats last night at 4:30 a.m. I think a lot of us have seen it now. And look, Kylan will do anything to fucking manipulate his way to get further in this game, even if he has to grind up all on Tiffany and possibly go a little further, you know. Someone in the comments said that there was finger action. I don't know if that's true, but maybe there was. Maybe there was. Lastly, Kevin Nelson says, Tiffany going to put up Claire and run the rest of the game. I think it is going to be the biggest BB win ever. I'll just say it like I said again. If Tiffany gets to the end, I do think she has a great chance of winning. And I'll say this, if Tiffany can survive these two doubles, then her odds are obviously a lot better. It's 1 in 4. And it also depends who she gets to the final four with in that case. But yeah, let's see if Tiffany can get through these two doubles first because her target has grown big. And Kyland, it's like the girls want Kyland out in the cookout and the guys want Tiffany out in the cookout, except for Kyland. But Derek X and Xavier want Tiffany out. Kylan, I think, will just go where the power is. Or if he's HOH at the double, we'll first try to get out Alyssa and then probably try and get out Ozza since Ozza's coming after him. Anyway, that's all for now. May the cringe continue.